Yo, hello, my friends. First of all, thank you for coming back and listening to me talk to people. This podcast is about connection. It's about communication and relationships in general. But not just relationships to other people, relationships to yourself. And, you know, sometimes, like we all do, being human can put you in some strange emotional rut. Some weird thing where you see all the patterns going on, but you just, for some reason, can't make a change. This is part of the learning process, okay? And I got your back, man. I am by far not even close to have knowing myself as deeply as I want to. And I do try to watch myself very closely because I love you guys, whether I know you or not. You know, I know that sometimes we are right next to each other and we don't even know one another. But if you turn and talk to me, I want to be ready with the best version of myself so that we may gain from that experience together. This episode is representation of exactly that. I met this gentleman out on a local hiking trail called Laguna Creek out here in Elk Grove, California. And we both were out doing photography. And I saw him kind of from afar and I thought, I'm going to get closer, see if I could talk to this guy. Because at the time, I really wanted to like connect to another photographer to the point where like maybe we could meet up and go other places and, you know, could learn from someone. And sure enough, you know, he was interested in what I had to say. And likewise, this guy had, you know, a lifetime of experiences, a couple lifetimes of experiences. And after we got to talking, almost immediately, I was like, I got to have this guy on the podcast. And, you know, that's what happened is I reached out to him on Instagram and he agreed like, yeah, I'm down. You know, you seem easy enough to talk to. Let's do this. And the gentleman I'm talking about, his name is Matt Schedule. And you can find his photography at Matt Schedule, which is MattSkidgel at Matt Schedule. And you'll see right away that he's got quite an eye in photography. And he's also a musician who's got an up and coming show here in the local area. And, you know, honestly, I forgot what the name of the club was or the bar. And but I'll put that on the Instagram, on Relative Roads Instagram. You can go check him out at the show if you want. Shoot, plug this guy in, you know, let y'all know who he is, and you ought to go get a little bit of that good energy because that's exactly what happened in this podcast. He's a very positive person who's been through some seemingly negative experiences, some challenges. And, you know, during this talk, we went into self-awareness, you know, his perspective on life and death, the war in Ukraine, and he's had experience in the military as well as law enforcement. In fact, he was here in the Bay Area in the Special Victims Unit. And I know it's very intriguing, right? It's a great thing for someone to have if they want to talk to people. He's definitely got a resume worth diving into. And just real quickly, I wanted to take a year off of, well, I didn't say specifically a year, but I took some time off of this platform because I had quite a bit of growing to do myself. And I was kind of distracted with a few stumps that I had been tripping over for some time, but I'm back and I'm here to tell you that, you know, I am my authentic self. I got nothing to hide and everything to share. And I just really deeply appreciate anybody who's here listening. And if you want to reach out and support the show in any way, just to say hi, you're more than welcome to. And I look forward to hearing from you. But without further ado, please enjoy the listen to my new great friend, Matt Schedule. I'm just a wandering nomad out on the interstate.
Been different. Like, but then I think about it and I think, look at my values at 18 versus 25 versus I just turned 45 yesterday. Look how my values have changed. So I can't look at 18-year-old me and be like, you stupid idiot.
Right,
you
right.
like an 18, you like a nice big stereo in your car and all these expensive wheels. You know, like, so if I can look at someone else and say that, I'm not going to look at them. I know that was me at 18. So, you know, we're all evolving.
Easier said than done, though,
paces.
right? Yeah, but so that's really what happened was that I had to go through this weird, profound change. But I think it's because everything sort of shifted with COVID. Like, we were all on the same page for once. You know, this was even far beyond 9/11. Like, the entire world was on the same page. Like, this is happening to all of us. So,
Are we recording?
Yeah, I just hit it because we keep talking and there's so many good things.
How close do I need to be?
Put your headphones on. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you might enjoy that. And then you can tell like how close you should be to the mic. You can move it. It should be, if I need to adjust it with a wrench, I got a wrench handy. But yeah, pull it up to your face, probably like about a fist away. Yeah, you can pull it. There you go.
All right. Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine. And if you pull away, it's fine. I'll still catch it. No worries.
I'm learning so I'm playing now, amp mic'd up on my PA.
Okay.
So I'm learning like the angle of your mouth into the mic as opposed to even like this.
Yeah.
Or up to down or down to up. It's its own instrument.
Yes.
There's a lot to learn about the mic.
Yeah. Well, in podcasting, there's a bit of forgiveness because, you know, we're having a conversation. You're going to move your body. You're going to gesture.
It's true. I'm not singing.
Yeah.
Not to speak in a completely perfect.
Yeah. No, you can get lost in thought. That's the liberty that I think you should be able to have. Is like, if you want to go on a rant and you're feeling it, by all means, man. But to kind of wrap up what I was trying to tell you, I came back to podcasting because now I realize I just want to talk to people. Because like I was saying about education, I love learning, but I love learning my way. I love listening to people and hearing sometimes even what they don't hear is going on in them and in their experience. Not to call them out, not to, set any judgment forth on them.
You're learning.
But to accept and appreciate, like, man, you're out there surviving and look at all this stuff. Look at all this stuff happening to and around you. And what an amazing experience and opportunity. You know?
Because no one walks your path.
No.
So I don't know your day-to-day, like how this shit happened to me and it really, it made me feel this way.
Yeah.
And I took this action and it had this result and it really was beneficial to me. And I can go, wow, that's what Mike did. That's cool.
Yeah. I find that useful, especially when you're in a situation where someone's sort of probing you with some of their judgmental thoughts. They're talking about another employee or another person, like, man, that idiot, he called out again. What kind of shit? Who does that? You know, and they're provoking, trying to see what you got in there in terms of your own opinion, right? And sometimes they want to be led somewhere, right? And either to some same biased opinion together, and we're hunkered down together and we're buddies and we're bonding over this. Fine, that happens, and that's totally fine. But I have gotten to the point where it's not long before I'm like, oh, you know what, man? Shit, when I was that age, I fucked that up bad. I should have been fired. I should have been slapped like Chris Rock. You know, I should have been handled a certain way because I was taken for granted. And I can't help but see that perspective and have that moment to myself. And then before I know it, either it sizzles out the conversation and we go a different way, or we start talking about vulnerability as a common factor. And that's where we can really get to know each other, is because why play it up? Why pretend like we don't make those mistakes?
Yeah. I mean, I want to be the person that's more graceful in that and say, well, maybe they got a sick relative. Maybe, you know what I mean? Because to be honest, I mean, I've been the type to jump on, because I'm the guy that showed up when I medically retired out. I had like 1,500 hours of sick leave because I didn't,
Yeah.
Anyways, but I would say this person has been on the department longer than me and they got 12 hours of sick leave on the books. I got 1,500. And they called out again. Yeah. So but my point is, I want to be the person that's more graceful, because you know what? They got their own things going on. What's this? Every day you meet people that are fighting as hard as they can to keep their head above water. Yes. Be kind.
Yeah, man. You never know. You never know what people are going through. No. You really don't. And it's easy to, with as much information that's out there, it's easy to let our our minds be saturated with junk mail. You know, like the way TikTok is organized, the way that YouTube's even playing along, and Facebook and Instagram, you click on one video, is now a stream of random videos that are only a few
Waste your
seconds.
time.
Dude,
It's like frosting.
an hour goes by and you don't even realize
It's
it.
frosting. You eat a little bit of frosting, it's like, oh, you just keep eating it.
Yeah.
You know, you might
Yeah.
get full. Your teeth are gone. You got diabetes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frosting. Everything's frosting.
Yeah.
I want
True.
deep conversation. I want stuff that's legit. I got rid of the TikTok app.
Yeah.
Because I'd go in the rabbit hole and I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I could have been playing guitar. I could have been editing some photos. I could have been walking, taking more photos.
Yeah.
I watched TikTok for 2 hours.
yeah. It's,
And my neck hurts.
easy to do, man. So let me ask you a question, since we are recording now. If you can kind of give me just like a summary of your law enforcement and military experience. That, you know, kind of your background, basically.
So grew up poor in Oregon. Small town, 830 people. But it's called Oakland, Oregon. So when I was a cop in the Bay Area, I'd be like, man, you don't know I'm from Oakland. And I was totally being honest.
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, no shit. Yeah, no, I'm fucking from Oakland, dude. Seriously. Look at my eyes.
Oaktown.
All right, I can tell you from Oakland, dude. No, but I wanted to go to college, but I partied a lot and I didn't want to fail out. So my thinking was I was going to go in the military, get a little discipline, because I was kind of wild. I was really wild. Get a little discipline. After I get the discipline, then come back, do the college. Now that I got the discipline, I do good in college. And ideally, I want to be a Major League Baseball player.
Oh, wow.
I didn't want it enough. I just kind of like thought that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I had a regret in life, to segue, I would go back and see how hard I could have chased that, because you only get one shot at that. I'm 45 now.
Yeah.
I ain't going to make the pros, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But anyways, so I went in the Army to get this discipline. I was supposed to go in the Air Force, but I got in trouble my graduation night, and then the Air Force said, you can't go.
Yeah.
And I said, are you serious? And they're like, yeah, all this other stuff you had, some vandalisms and some other stuff I got in
Sure.
trouble with. So I went in the Army instead, and it was pretty tough at times, and did that for 10 years.
What'd you do in the Army?
I was, for the first 4 years, was active duty. I was a field artillery surveyor, which was like I'd roll out and advance party with ahead of the guns, the big artillery guns, and we'd put in their firing positions. They'd go shoot, and then they go to the next place. We're already down the
Okay.
road. They keep doing that.
Okay.
So did that for 4 years. Got out, entered the Guard, which I did for another 6, for a total of 10. Then just got out when I moved down here in 2004, and found out that everybody was hiring for law enforcement, and just put my application all over the place, and got hired, and started off in the jail after the academy, and then went to the courts, and then went to the streets, and then went to investigations, where I was assigned when I got in a bunch of different fights and car accidents and things at work, and I've gotten one more car accident, and it brain bleed, neck gone, back gone, nerve damage. So they medicaled me out, and I've been medically retired for 3 years, something like that.
Wow.
But kind of have some mobility issues a little bit. I can't run anymore. I can't golf, but I can play guitar and do, I'm trying to focus on the things I can do rather than be bummed about the things I can't do.
Sure.
Part of it's just aging, and part of it's, when I was young, no one told me you only get one car. You got to take better care of your car. So now I'm doing all the stuff,
Yeah.
for the car, but there's some damage.
Quite humbling, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I mean, the Army honestly doesn't really do you much favors, as far as if you're a strong-minded person, they'll teach you, oh, you're hurt. You think you want to stop? Your body's telling you to stop. Well, you just ignore that. You just go through that. But some of those things are there for a reason, for your body to be told, hey, this is too much. And some of it's tough guy stuff, and some of it's overall, you push yourself too hard, you're going to take damage.
Yeah.
And you just have to be willing to deal with that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I think sometimes a lot of the messages out there are push through it.
It's sometimes that's nice, but I don't know. Overall, just some of those limits and some of those signals that your brain is sending are there for a reason. And I guess it's kind of it's a delicate balance. Sometimes if you just stop every time your brain says stop, you probably won't go very far. But if you push through every time, you're going to burn yourself out. So you got to pick your battles.
Yeah. Do you ever look back and sort of think about any specific moment that you knew or you now know you should have done something different about it? Does that is there like a replay that happens to you on your bad days, let's say, versus your good days where you're like, damn, I don't want to think about that?
No, I think about I can kind of recall the mindset I had going in, so I can kind of replay like step by step why I made decisions I made and things like that. And can't say you make right decisions all the time, but if your decision making process is solid, it's going to have you in kind of the right direction. You know what I mean? If you're doing things for the right reasons, even if you're wrong, it's like, well, I thought, I based on what I saw, based on my training, my experience, whatever. I think more of like the times where it went way better than it could have went. And I think I'm just thankful that I'm still here.
Yeah.
There's so many times. For a time I was counting by like 23 times that I knew that I was like, man, I should have died on that time, should have died on that time.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why I'm still here.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Sure. Sure.
But like if I didn't get taken out on those times, like I had some embarrassing thing. I don't remember what it was, but it was some little freak accident. And I told my wife, I said, God, all the stuff I've been through, it'd be so embarrassing if I died on that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think we all kind of have those moments, like what we're currently doing and the things we've done. You look back like, man, I'm so glad that I get to try and do better now, because if that would have ended there, what a terrible tombstone, So when you went from the military to law enforcement, how much of your military experience helped you in transitioning?
Well, there's a lot of things that you get, and I can't speak to any other branch of the military. I was in the Army, so I can't speak to the other branches. I know the Marines are pretty tough and regimented, and they're all tough in their own way. But the core things about the Army that would apply to success in a non-Army setting would be, always being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. That's a lot of people have a hard time just showing up on time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of employers that go, you're 5 minutes late, you're gone.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Which, thanks for coming early, by the way.
Yeah. No, I just, and we talked for quite a while before. We had a good talk.
Yeah.
But it just, wearing the uniform, if you're in a uniform, wearing it right so you look sharp, being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be, having respect for your superiors as well as your subordinates, as well as your peers. Just speaking, like
with a purpose.
Yeah. There's just a lot of things that are just, we consider, just call it being squared away. You're like somebody shows up and you're hiring them.
Accountable. You
see the way they're like, the military appearance. There's just something they're like, they're going to work hard. They're going to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So when I was in the academy, it was a lot of the recruit training officers, they call them, the ones that train you, prior military. So some drill sergeants and stuff. So they're like doing stuff. And I'm like, okay, I remember this,
Yeah.
So we go on runs and things, and we do like PT, physical training, and it was tough, like moments that were tough. They try to push you to muscle failure. We had lost like 5 people on the first day.
Yeah,
I was thinking, I was like, people are trying to talk them out of leaving, and I'm thinking, because I was still kind of like Army mentality, I'm like, let them go. I don't want a quitter in my foxhole,
Yeah.
No, I'd be like, hey man, because there's a lot of good people that didn't make it, and they might have been really good cops.
Yeah.
I mean, I work with cops that were really, really good human beings and really good cops, and they would have made great street cops. They would have made great detectives, but they had like the wrong training officers where they just were like hard on them. And then when they don't respond the way, when they fall apart as opposed to getting stronger, then they just wash them out. And then that person has such a bad taste. They're like, I'm never going back. And I'm like, man, they could have been such a great asset to the citizens, to the department. But it's just a bummer. But I mean, everything happens for a reason,
But that is so important, I think, to stop and recognize, is that we all process things differently, and our emotional growth sometimes is at a different pace than another person. And I can happily admit that I can be a very extra sensitive person. I think I have it dialed in as to why I'm extra sensitive at any given time now, more so than before, because I've put a little bit more research into my brain and why I do the things I do. And I'm a little more focused on those little idiosyncratic moments, whereas before I would just chop it up to some some event that pushed me, that had control over me, and now I'm at a
So
point
now you
where,
reconciled it to an even. Because like, well, this happened and I did this, and now we're even Steven. You don't take accountability and be like, nah, I need to own this.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm at now. Is like I take that accountability and
good
first.
for you, man. It's hard. I'm too.
It's a skill set, right? To really manage your mind and watch yourself closely, consciously looking at your behavior.
Oh, and I've got bulletproof alibis too. I've had like at least 12 documented concussions. I'm like, I've got a ton of head injuries. So, I mean, I could be like every single thing, like, nah, man, it's my impulse control problems with my head injuries. And I would be being honest. Yeah. But I hold myself to a higher standard. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to just cop out and be like, because I got all the excuses in the world to be a heroin addict, alcoholic, everything else. But I just don't want, I want more than that. Yeah. No. And what a great strength to have, well, it seems like you have sort of an inherent way to keep things positive. And is that something you've always had? Which, by the way, you were talking about the structure and all that stuff that came from the military, and that in police service, that accountability was everything. Just being able to be a professional, showing up on time, and being a sharp tool to use in the overall effort to make this machine work. And I really appreciate that, because I grew up around the military, so some things were there. But I didn't join the military, and I was a bit rebellious thereafter in the civilian world. And things kind of came full circle when I had to, start performing as a father and as a professional. It's like, you can't keep dicking around. You kind of have to take this stuff serious. And all that structure you went to go get. If you want the things that come with that. Or you can just be in your sister's basement. Right. Yeah. And you're just cool. To progress. 40. Yeah. If you want to get to something, you got to put in the work. Absolutely. But, thinking back to some of the mentors I had, some of the less preferred mentors, because I learned from all of them. I learned way more from my bad leaders than my good. Yeah. Well, I learned more about myself from my bad leaders than I did. And and a lot of that had to do with my emotional growth and age. I think some things I didn't really come around till I hit my 40s. I think some things didn't really make a ton of sense. And so that's made me more patient as a father, because my son is a lot like me. It gives you faith that he's going to ride the plane. Yeah, he's going to get there. Because I think if I had a kid the way I was, I don't have kids, but if I did, I think I'd give up on him. Yeah. Because I was so bad. But I also think I would be giving me way more of what I needed. So I don't think I would have been that bad. So you can't really say, right? But then again, who knows? So it's tough. It's just but that's cool that you're realizing. Because I'm the same damn way, man. I said, it takes me way longer, and I don't learn anything the easy way. I'm running into the wall head first 15 times and then finally go open the door and walk through it. That's a big ADHD trait, by the way. Not to say you are. But then I'm like, I can get through. I feel the bricks are breaking loose. That's a bit of tenacity and ignorance wrapped into one. And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. I think it's a mode of learning. It's not the most efficient way, but we said in the Army, when someone was doing something bad, we go, well, that's a technique. Yeah, exactly. But as you get older, it takes a little longer to recover from some of that damage. I try the door first now. Yeah, there you go. That's smart. That's what I've been trying to do, is just kind of creak in a little bit, see if I can recognize some of the flooring. Maybe I could stand on that floor. You know what I'm saying? Like, observe what is in front of me. Being in the moment, being in the present moment is an art form. Pie the corner, we call it. Pie in the corner? So when you come up on a corner, you don't just, if you got your gun out and you're looking for a bad guy or something, you don't come up on the corner, just waltz around the corner with your gun out. Bad guy's waiting. You could take your gun, shoot you, whatever. Right. So you come in at a steeper angle, come away from the wall, and you take little pieces of that pie and you're looking. Yeah. And you're looking. Interesting. And you're pie in the corner where you'd be being intentful on what you're doing. Right. Everything is slow as smooth, smooth as fast. Down to little. If you go fast, you're outside of your abilities. Yeah. You're operating outside of your skill level. You got to stay within yourself, but be present. We're talking about two important things. We're talking about dialogue, but being present. No one's present and no one wants to talk. Yeah, everything's a TikTok. Yeah. Everything's a 30 seconds or whatever else. And the real stuff, people say, well, don't talk about religion. Don't talk about politics, because you might offend somebody. But then again, how are you going to not talk about these things? It's because people aren't taught how to talk about those things. They're not taught how to think about them. Right. And people I don't understand how the framework of their belief system. When I ask them a question, they can't explain why they believe this thing or this person. I said, have you vetted anything they've said before? No, but you just believe everything they say. Check this out, though. So there's a fight in everybody, right? And sometimes you can see clearly what the fight is about.
and sometimes they don't even know what the fight is about, and it translates in different things that they talk about. So sometimes they're emotional, deeply emotional about something, and they're speaking on some other thing that they think that emotion is about. And until they really understand what their own suffering is about, it's hard to have a lengthy conversation and a safe conversation with someone who is so passionate and so driven about a one topic that like, and you get it, your instinct is like, something off. Like, why is he so moved by this subject? Like, we were trying to have a conversation and now he's trying to convince me that this is wrong or this is that or the other. And what I think is happening is that people aren't familiar with the pain they're in, and they're what do you call it, projecting some of that pain, some of that reaction onto whatever's in front of them. And so that's what I love about listening to people, is that if you listen closely, you can hear beneath the words. You can hear you can maybe not necessarily be able to describe what it is, but you can get an instinct on the emotional change and where that range of emotion is coming from, and sort of like the spirit that's in them and what it's going through. You know, and us as a shared consciousness. And
if you feel like the person talking to you is being legit.
Right. Well, or being illegit. Like you can gauge
I
how
guess
much.
that's a good point too. Yeah. If you think they're not being, then you're like kind of the backwards side of that. like, so why are they going away from what the...
Yeah. And most of the time, like, I see that vulnerability is a great key to use to sort of unlock that situation. And I'll go back and be like, man, I talk about myself in a critical way, but from a learning perspective. Like, I'm so glad that I don't think like that anymore, because I would not want to perform this way and harm the entity we both want to be better. Right. So it usually has to do with work, because that's what we all fucking do all the time. Most of us, you know? And so vulnerability is a great way to sort of unlock and kind of reset that energy. Is like, look, man, I'm not perfect. And that person we were talking about, I know that it's controversial and I like to have opinions about it, but I'm still learning from it. So I'm not locked into this range of emotion. I think that I can feel other ways, like the Will Smith and Chris Rock thing. I could see it from both sides. I could see how someone would offend you, and you're in this world of being catered to. You're in this world where not many things are wrong, because no one wants things to go wrong for you. Most people want everything to go right for you. So you're sort of vulnerable in that respect.
Any
like
little ripple is going to come over the bow of your boat.
So like, you're in a room with your family and one of your brothers says something fucked up about your wife. Maybe sometimes you're so close, you're going to go up and slap your brother and be like, man, don't talk about my wife. I could see that, right? I could also see where, you know, you got to keep your composure. You got to have that structure and that discipline, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, because you can't calculate the next move if you're distracted by your own heavy emotion. If something happens outside of yourself that disrupts that little moment you have, are you going to be ready? You most likely not, because you're in that fucking mode.
You're operating on emotion as opposed to on logic.
Absolutely. So
you're just thinking with your animal forebrain, fight or flight, and it's like, well, I don't need to fight him.
Yeah.
Don't need to run. No. So if I just stop and think about this for a minute, I bet you I don't really need to do much of anything.
And even if he was...
Maybe flip him off.
Yeah, even if he was compelled to go up there and say, just talk to him privately, like, Chris, I really... She has this going on. I really appreciate it if you just kind of left her out. That would be even more understandable than that slap, because he jumped on that thing and wrote it. And then he sat down like... He didn't know what else to do.
Well, that's the easiest thing in the world for him to do, too.
Yeah.
Yes. To just operate on emotion, run up there and then afterwards, like, I'm sorry. Oh, here's my Oscar.
We all do that sometimes.
And I'm not going to hate on him. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. It's their thing. But I got to go back because I'll forget.
Yeah, please.
You said something that was really interesting, and it caused me to feel something. It didn't cause me to feel it, but I felt something because of the way anyways, you said working every day like all of us, well, most of us. And I thought to myself, that's a source of my, you were talking about anxieties earlier. Because I've been working since I was 13, like worked in the fields in Oregon, throwing bales of hay up on trucks with livestock, all this stuff.
Yeah.
I worked for the forestry department out there digging trails around fires and cutting branches off fire roads. Anyways, then Army and then police, but I've never not worked. You know, I've always worked, and I've worked hard, worked lots of hours.
Yeah.
So then now that I'm medically retired, like that has been a really big struggle for me that's why I drive myself, I think, to be a good musician and a good photographer and write poems. And I'm trying to write a children's book. Anyways, is like, I feel like I don't know, by not working, I feel like a piece of shit.
Can I offer a word?
Yeah.
Emasculated.
Yeah, I mean that was always I've always been known as a hard worker, a supervisor, like whether I was a supervisor, whether I was a whatever.
Yeah.
Like you ask anybody that I worked with or anybody I worked for, I'm not going to say anybody because I'm an asshole. So there's people that probably didn't like me, but I guarantee even the ones that didn't like me would say, but he was a hard ass worker.
Yeah.
He knew his shit and he was a hard worker.
So going back to everyone is still the child they were somewhere inside when we were in grade school, when we were a child, when we were young, physically young. You're parenting that vulnerable part of yourself, but you're rebuilding him. You are gaining new skills. You're in a new school. You are vulnerable to learn. And if it drives you to push yourself harder in some other safe way to become better at something, you can take peace of mind in that, yeah, you are emasculated because you're not able to do all the things you identify yourself with, but you are blessed to be rebirthed and to blossom into something else. You're still young, my friend.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I have felt that way when I went through that trucking situation. I wasn't working. My wife was the breadwinner. She was bringing in all the money. She was feeling it. She didn't say it directly. She didn't say.
Oh, you can notice because you're feeling it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so there was a ripple in our relationship because of that. And it's a weird growth process because it's necessary. You have to feel that vulnerability to reestablish your idea of work. And what is it about work that's important to you? Is it the money? Is it the learning aspect of it? Is it the community aspect of it? And so all these identities you have with yourself, all that really means is that death and birth are the same process in living as they are outside of the physical world. We die, things die and rebirth as energy all the time. You are made of the same stuff the planet is. Why can't that happen to you? Why can't the essence of who you are and what you are die and reborn itself again? So you can take peace of mind in that you're not any less valuable. But if you challenge yourself to become better, there's nothing wrong with that, my friend. Yeah. That's a blessing.
Well, that's kind of the goal. Yeah, I feel like I drank since 15, all the way till January was 3 years sober, no alcohol.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
man.
no, and it was thank you. It was I was numbing out a lot of pain from my childhood and military and cop stuff that I was exposed to with alcohol, and that was easy for me to just numb that out, and it was easy for me to operate hungover, and it was easy for me to operate. I never drank on the job, never did anything like that, but if I was off work, I was drinking, and everybody knew it, So as far as being a cop, being a soldier, do you think people drink a lot or little in those professions? They're like both super drinkers,
Yeah.
But I gave that up. It was the way that came about was a loss of a loved one who, very similar to me, was taking opiates for a work-related injury and drinking. Not like taking them both to hurt himself, but went to sleep, didn't wake up. Had too many pills, drank too much vodka. I don't know. But 38 years old, died, healthy guy.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, he's missed. And his passing wasn't in vain because it gave me the motivation to take one day off. I said, I'm going to take one day off and not drink. So I suffered through that hangover. Normally I'd be drinking some vodka, cranberries or whatever. Suffered through that hangover the next day. My brain was like, this feels pretty good. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a second day. And I've never said I won't drink again. But it's just turned into every day I fell more in love with how good I felt. And my brain, I think, started flooding itself, like serotonin was just like reward chemicals.
Yeah.
So then I was 240 pounds. I'm 170. So I lost 70 pounds. Wow. This is my weight I was at in the Army. And I can't work out. I can't run.
Sure.
So I try to eat right and I do like some counter push-ups and stuff. Do what I can to not overdo it.
Yeah.
Everything's a transaction.
To stay
Pain
in your
is
body.
The currency,
Yeah. No, but I understand completely. Yeah.
So I gave that up. And since I gave it up, I surrounded myself with people that drink. I don't want to be around people that are going to tell me I'm drinking too much. People came into my life. They, girlfriends or whatever, you drink too much. They just went by the wayside because I just straight up tell them. I work my ass off. I'm in a dangerous job where I could die tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I'm going to enjoy myself. Mm-hmm. I don't ever miss work. I had all the reasons why to justify my drinking, like every alcoholic does. And I gave it up, and it's just really been a challenge not to not drink. The only affirmations I ever get are to that I'm doing the right thing. But I've surrounded myself with people. I've had to lose some friendships. I had to walk away from some really long time friends, military, cop, whatever. Because they're stuck in that same thing. That's the whole thing I realized about alcohol is you're not really doing much. I stayed right in the same zone, not improving anything, just staying the same dudes, doing the same thing, telling the same stories, drinking the same brand of beer.
You're coping.
And they'd be like, but it's horrible. Anyway, it's a cycle. So the challenging thing for me about the sobriety with alcohol has been just whenever I'm around and everybody's drinking, it seems like everybody drinks. If there's someone that can drink just a couple, it's rare, but it's most of the time people drink. And then when they start showing the signs, I just kind of like when you watch that curling, when they just kind of let go, I'm just like, bye. Yeah. And I just kind of go my own way because trying to talk and reason and communicate with someone that's drinking when you're not drinking is ridiculous. You might be able to be on the same wavelength and be drunk with someone and do it. Sure. From a sober perspective, it's just a waste of my time. Yeah. I feel like I'm talking to someone that's got like a mental problem. Yeah. Because they're just looking right through me. So anyways, the alcohol thing is a different set of problems now that I don't drink. Yep. Socially. Yeah, but the difference is you were coping, now you're working. Now you're working through those things that that your body and mind remind you of. It's like sometimes a movement can jar a memory from some other part of your body. And this is what became important to me about fitness. And I won't drown everybody with this stuff because I love talking about it because of what it did for me. That whole thing I said about consuming someone else's pain as your own and then filtering that through your conversations, that was a process I was so familiar with. I got so passionate about homophobia, but I was homophobic at one point. I got so passionate about any given controversial topic, right? I would pour my energy into it. But what I ended up realizing throughout the last, I'd say 5 years, 10 years of my life was all these personal priorities of my health that I wasn't taking serious, they would get sort of shoved into the background and I would substitute some passion for that importance, for that priority. And I would sort of just deal with misguided, it. Your focus is on something that shouldn't be. Yeah. But it's razor hot. Right. It's like the magnifying glass. Right. And you burn the wrong thing. You could even see some potential for laser sharp thinking somewhere in there, right? But it'd be messy enough. And that reflects in your relationships, who you relate to on a common basis, who you have in your life, your inner circle, why they are there, why they're not there. You can kind of see the reflection of who you are in the people you relate to on a daily basis, for sure. Right? And I wanted to subscribe to those tools of success that surround yourself with those like-minded and those that are sort of in the same realm of thinking, same thought process. But I realized that I have a lot of stuff to clean up in my own room. And that was why I'm going to see Jordan Peterson. He wrote a book called 12 Rules for Life. And one of the quotes from there is like, clean your room. And essentially what that means is like, look at yourself. What all do you need to work on? And work on that stuff. Work on that stuff. And not to the point where it requires honesty, though. That's tough. Absolutely. Vulnerability. Like a real honesty. Not real honesty. Not like you're doing great, buddy. The pep talks you give yourself, but like the real stuff. No, like this about yourself. Yeah. And I want you to watch for when it comes up again. Because here's the thing. You're not going to fix all these problems. You're not going to fix them permanently, right? But if you understand them, you're a better parent to yourself. It's like raising a child, man. And like what you're going through, there's nothing wrong with feeling that sense of vulnerability and admitting to it. It's belittling yourself because of that vulnerability. It's fine that you don't work the way you used to, but your value is shifting. You can't just sit and pile on yourself. Like, no. Suck, and that's exactly right. Move on. Yeah. It is what it is. And you got to try. I think that's really one. It'd be warranted if you were really legitimately a piece of shit and you're like, oh, I'm hurt and I'm not. Then it should be like, yeah, you should feel bad because you're lying. Yeah. But to me, that strength as a weakness is fact. Like I mean, the stuff that I've suffered through, a lot of it was because I just refused to quit. Yeah. I had 3 significant on-the-job injuries as a cop. The first one, I get a workers' comp lawyer. First thing, you have to. And they're like, you should medically retire. And I said, nah. Second one, no, you retire. No. Third one, I said, all right. Yeah. Not that was the lawyer is the one that decided, but it's like, maybe I should have listened to the first one. Maybe I wouldn't be as screwed up. But you can't.
Yeah, the hypotheticals will rob you of time just as much as TikTok will.
Excellent point. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can what if yourself to death, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes that's fun for the purpose of exploring a thought together with someone, the hypotheticals, but it's like a tightrope. You know, you can practice, do it every so often, but don't live on it. You know, you're gonna fall and you're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And then that goes with your own naivety. You know, like you can be so naive you're blind in some respect, and someone takes advantage of you. And I think that's what happens to a lot of uneducated and poor citizens, is that they get so caught up in the drama of the most recent event that happened, then another event happens, and another event happens. Before you know it, they're buried under all these ideas that have nothing to do with who they are.
Oh, you're going exponent on an exponent, and now you're dealing on such an emotional level.
Yeah.
There's no
you're
connection
made of reactions.
to reality at some point because it's so emotional, and people just get so caught up in.
And it happens to the best of them. Like the way I see people who are in prison, I could have been any one of them. I could have been locked up, shot, killed, murdered for any given stupid decision I made. And like some of those guys, they get locked up and then something happens in there. And then they get locked up again when they get out, and so on and so forth, right?
Snowballs.
So I feel incredibly lucky to be where I'm at, to have all that I have, but not to the point where I'm critical towards anybody else, but I've committed to watching myself as a member of the community, because even in the case where I'll see the news or I'll see some news and there'll be a category of a person or some demographic of a person, in my mind plays tricks because it's saturated with this fucking media, right?
But you instantly jump to something negative, thought on it or something without knowing anything? Yeah, I'm the same way.
But when you're familiar with yourself, you know that a certain number of thoughts related to that are just the junk that you have to sift through. And if you're looking at it closely enough, you'll get to a foundational thought where you can be compassionate, you can be understanding, and you can let go. You can have those feelings, those thoughts, those biases, those singular racist moments. You can have those. It's the freedom of being alive.
Of thinking how you think and being living or suffering through your unique life experiences to get you those thought processes.
But you are not any one of those thoughts.
No.
You are a sentient being existing in a miracle.
Well, I always say, like, I'm taking a bite of it, chewing it up. I'm telling you what I think of the taste. Like, that's what you're doing with everything, you know? Like, we need more dialogue in society. And we need more dialogue that's, you know, like, when I talk about something, someone will say, Matt, what do you think about this? And I'll say, well, let me preface it by saying I'm no expert. This is what I know about it. Yeah. This is how I learned that. Yeah. And this is what I think about it. This is where I think it should be fixed, or this is how I think they should keep doing it the same way, or whatever. But I mean, some people, they know one part out of 100, and they're like, they want to make that one expand, and like they're an expert, you know? And
that's where I was saying, sometimes people are on about something, but if you listen closely, there's something else that's happening that they're not talking about, even within themselves. And unless they address it, if you're aware of that, right, then you have this magical ability to phase in and out of a relationship that is good for you or not necessarily good for you. And that's a really hard skill to build, but it all starts with the ability to like focus on yourself and understand how your mind works, how your reactions are, you know, what's important to you, your core values. And fitness has always been a way, has recently been a way for me to get deep inside of my own pain. And the moment that voice inside is like, stop this, let's not do this, this hurts, that hurts, that's where I get to be a dad within myself to me, is say, look, young man, I know you want to go far in life. I know that it's not going to be easy. And if you let me do this for us, then we will get there. And that's really how.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is some people think because they don't have kids that they're not a parent. Everybody's a fucking parent, man. Everybody is parenting themselves. And if you're ever around a child who needs an adult that has parental qualities, you better be on point with your shit, man, because that's your future you're talking to.
You got to be talking to schools and parents and troubled teens and things like.
Maybe one day, right?
No, I mean, like, that's very impactful. Yeah. And I bet with the kids, I mean, you probably could, like with me, I've got an innate ability to really communicate with kids well. Yeah. And you seem like you probably would too. Not talk down to them, but you would talk to them like find a level and talk peer to peer.
Yep. That's
almost
what,
like a figurative scooting down.
Yeah.
You know, you have to connect to him.
Yeah, it's a spiritual lift.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes we're just floating in this body, wondering what's going to happen next. You know, like there's that sense of vulnerability, and if you can kind of tap into that, and then again, depending on how well fed I am during the day, or what time of day it is, or if I've had medication,
or
or
stressors
not,
or things like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but that again,
your moods are in flux, but that's kind
why
of stay in the channel. You want them to stay in the channel, not some big outlier that's going to be a
correct. If I'm on
flyer.
point with me, which is the whole reason to pay close attention to yourself, is that if something happens, and let's say that I am hungry or I'm moody or something, and then an event happens where somebody is triggered or I'm triggered, I can bow out of that situation much more effectively and much more expeditiously if I'm aware of this key weakness happening within my current mode of being.
Well, it's a mature mindset. You're like, if more people were to think, if I go out and do this, what could happen?
Yeah.
Well, this, and this could happen.
Sure.
And then what would happen after that? And you can kind of play, you know, like my friend the other day, he's a Marine. He's got some PTSD and stuff. And he said he went into the store to buy ammo, and there's some law or something that says you can't buy ammo unless you've bought a gun in some period of time. I don't know. It's new to me. And he went off and flipped out, and then he said somebody was showing someone a gun, and they flagged him with the barrel of the empty gun, and he went off on the guy. And hey, point that gun at me. I'll go out to my car, get my gun, and I'll point it at you or something. I said, you can't be saying stuff like that.
No.
I understand the point. The point is correct. Your content, you know, your delivery's a little off. But I said to him, so when you go in there, and I'm not trying to give anybody pointers, I got to give myself pointers, but I said, you know, because he's always saying, I'm like a tiger, I can't change my stripes, so just try to be a better tiger, whatever that means. I said, listen, you're kind of on the right track. I said, but think about this. When you go in there, you think, what could one of these idiots say that could piss me off? Could tell me something, this and that, and then what would I say? And you can almost like script yourself some smart ass replies that'd be way better than you going off. Because when you go off, you just show your cards and you just make everybody look like to everybody. You just tell everybody, hey, everybody, I want like your attention. I'm kind of an asshole and I'm out of control of my emotions. Yep. And then now you look like the jerk.
Those are folks that aren't quite aware of what's happening within them. You know, I think, you know, everybody's different. Not everybody's supposed to be so self-conscious or self-aware or what's the term? Anyhow, the whole point is, like, sometimes some of us are meant to be distracted because we're teaching others around us a lesson. Yeah. You know, like we're learning from each other. I think as the older that I get, the more I want to be okay with who I've become and who my son will become and who anybody who is close enough to me will benefit from what I am today. And I think that the more at peace with those things that I am, the closer I can pay attention to the moments I have alone. Because, you know, like I used to think I wanted to be a celebrity. I used to think I wanted to be famous for some artistic skill or talent that I had. And I think over time, I've realized that I just want to be that important to me. I just want to show up on time and to do a good job and to represent an adult in a world full of chaos, in a world full of adults who have options up the yazoo as to what and who to think about, you know. And I would like to be in the present. Like you said, we need more dialogue. Well, I think that dialogue starts with yourself, you know, like you got to be willing to like think deeply about what's going on inside you. And when it came to fitness, again, I'm gonna beat this up again, but like you're alone in that moment, you know, like you're in the pain of it. You're doing something challenging, in something appropriate for your physical, your physiology as it is, you know, and the whole
you're
point
outside
is,
your comfort zone,
right? Yeah, it's
in a healthy way.
To get to there with some direct calculated movements, you know, so that
with
it's
intent.
Appropriate, and then that's where you keep tabs on what's going on inside you. And there's no other way to do it, bro, because like I was trying to say, either you understand how to handle hard work or a challenge that happens to you, or you will be challenged and it'll be a surprise, and you'll be vulnerable to all of that knowledge you have let go by not challenging yourself. And I think, like, I'm grateful that I'm not a millionaire. I'm grateful that I'm not ultra rich to be blinded by my own naivete.
Yeah. And then there's probably a lot of ego that would come with that too, which
Absolutely.
is, I've always respected the quiet professionals, like the people that blow their horns. To me, I just think to myself, it's so much cooler to just be so fucking badass, and just be cool about it, and just be like, oh, no, man, I'm deflect, like I've kind of, no, it was the offensive line, it was this, it was the team, it was stuff like that. I mean, even if it's kind of like, aw shucks, at least it's classy and it's not like, hey, look at me, I'm so badass. Because I can't stand that.
Yeah.
When someone, even like to me, when they are badass, and if I might respect the shit out of their skill set, if they're real me first, blow their own horn kind of guy, it almost shines a negative light on their other attributes.
I have those moments myself where I feel so good about something I can do that came from years of trying.
Being happy about that and exulting in like the joy of accomplishing, like I play a song really well. It's like it feels that self-satisfaction, you feel good.
Yeah.
But the difference is like you're not going and just being like, you suck because I play this song so much better than you.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels when someone blows their horn. I don't like that. I just like someone that will show you how awesome they are just by being awesome.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing that I've been thinking about a lot is words are so limited. Language is so limited, and sometimes we think we can summarize ourselves or any given topic with just the words alone. You
got to walk the walk.
But the truth is, all judgment is much better, conversed with through action. Like if you're gonna lay labels and judgment on somebody, let me see what you represent by your action. And that really, it's a question to myself every time. It's like, every time I feel heavily opinionated about some person's mental health or some person's decision to do something, like there's not much time between that initial thought and the reflection of, what am I doing, that can be better, or what am I not doing that I haven't addressed?
You're not living in a glass house and throwing stones.
Yeah. Like, and I prefer to exist that way because, it's kind of this like living ecstasy. Like like when you can really see who you are for what you are everywhere you go, like it is sort of a natural drug.
Well, what do they say? The three versions of yourself? There's the true you.
Yeah.
There's the you that you see.
Yeah.
And there's the you that other people see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ideal to have them be all the same.
Right.
Or at least not have a disparity and walking around like, the emperor has no clothes and you look like a jackass.
Yeah.
That's that goal.
I like watching those too,
Oh, it's entertaining. Well, I just funny, like I we were talking earlier about the media and things like that, and it's like I haven't watched the news in like 4 years. It gets me too upset. I get like, I know that about myself. Yeah. And I feel bummed because I'm out of touch with the current events, which I love current events and knowing what's going on, but I just don't like seeing them through a lens where it's trying to make me. To me, the media these days is like, here is something I want you to feel this way about.
Yeah,
it's so because I think the art of being subtle and the art of just presenting the actual facts and as objectively as possible, and it's an insult to the viewer. It's like you're too stupid to make this connection. We're going to do it for you.
Yeah.
And to me, so now I go online for a lot of stuff and I'll take like 5 different sources and I'm looking for that one little tiny concentric bit, and that's the actual news. The rest is bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's slanted and it's making me afraid of something, making me hate something, making me try to like something. And it's like to just get the actual info.
So then I have a question for you. I'm pretty sure you're aware of Ukraine and Russia and all that's going on over there. How do you consume that from your experiences that you've had and the way you think about it now? And do you prepare emotionally to handle the possibility of that happening in your local environment?
Well, if everything is happening as we're seeing on the news, which some stuff I've seen, and I thought, if a big missile goes off and kills all these people, how come the missile is completely in one piece? There's just weird things about this. And I'm not disputing that it's happening.
Sure.
But it just, I have such a high distrust of the media that there's more to this to me. This is 100% my just opinion of my limited news intake, there's just too many weird things and there's too many facets to this. I'm really worried about China on a different level.
Yeah.
What they're sitting there watching Taiwan, and they're watching Russia and Ukraine. And then it really alarmed me that Russia was flying apparently a nuclear bomber over the Ukraine, whether they had a nuke on board or not. It was a direct message. And then this from Russia, the formal notice saying if you continue to arm the Ukraine, then that could prompt a preemptive strike.
Yeah.
And then it's a race, and then it's mutually assured destruction.
Right.
Pretty sure Sacramento's going to get one.
Yeah, right.
But
that's what I'm saying.
No,
so how do you consume this and prepare for it?
These are all things that are outside of the, I'm an American. I love this country. I love the idea and the concept of this country. I think we're watching why democracy doesn't work right now.
Interesting.
I mean, it just
love it.
I don't believe in a lot of the things that most of the state. I consider myself a libertarian, but if I had to pick one or the other, it's probably a conservative Republican. But I'm not I don't check the boxes. I don't check all the boxes. So I don't like saying anything other than I'm a libertarian. I don't want the government involved in my affairs any more than they absolutely need to be.
Yeah.
I feel like the values of this government and the values, and it's not recent. I'm just saying, I'm kind of disenchanted as an American the last 10 years.
Interesting. So,
and I'm distrustful of why we've done a lot of the things we've done. I mean, I did stuff in the military. We went places and did things, and this is why we're doing it. That's what we were told. And then it's like, well, then after I'm out of the military, I'm reading things and seeing a little more information, things from different perspectives. And it's just, as an American, you're raised, I'm old enough where I did the Pledge of Allegiance up until I think 7th grade. I don't know when they stopped it, but so I've always been proud to be an American. I'm not, back to the original question. I am proud to be an American. I'm proud of our military. I'm proud of what I accomplished and the people that I served with, what we accomplished. But I've really kind of taken a different look at things now that I'm not a soldier anymore. And I guess the only thing I can say is it's good to get that out of your system when you're young and you don't have too much perspective. You just, you're listening to what you're told and you go do it. Because if you're smarter, you have a little more life experience, you're going to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What the heck are we doing this for? You got to be young and just go do it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Back to the Ukraine thing. I don't know. I hope it resolves. I hope it resolves for no more loss of life. There's no needless loss of life in 2022. Why is this happening?
Great question. That is the question of the year, I think. Why? Why is this happening?
Ego.
It has,
or somebody trying to set up their legacy. I don't know.
I think as a whole, humanity as a whole, it's, we're a very limited species in terms of how deep we think, as a whole. I think some of the smaller parts, like myself and you, we can go a little deeper, but then it's a very personal thing. It's not a communal effort. Obviously, you don't have these conversations with people on a regular basis because they can't handle it. Right. But that should be okay, because at some point that's very frustrating. At some point you think, why the fuck can't people think deeper than this? And that can trap you. That can trap you to perform like the judgment you see, that thing that you really don't like, that thing you despise. But that's, you become closed at some point. So you have to find a way to be compassionate, even towards the worst thing you can imagine a human being, even towards Putin, right? Which we're all sort of being taught to hate right now.
Well, that's from when we're kids. Russia has always been the bad guy.
Yeah. But it's a much better idea to think of yourself as Putin's family member than to think of yourself as a stranger, because in the end, we are all human. And so I think from a humanity standpoint, there is something historical about war and violence and why it's here. There is some death and rebirth aspect to that. And we don't know what happens when we die, man. I mean, all that we know is all human ideas anyway. So what the fuck? Why settle into anything, right? I think it's a personal choice what you imagine the future of post-death is like, and that's fine. If that assists you in living a better now life, great. If not, then, it's a problem you should probably work on.
Yeah.
But just philosophically.
If not better, just less shitty.
Yeah.
Be less evil of a person.
A much more grounded,
no violence, no.
Absolutely.
Don't take my shit. I won't take yours.
Mathematically, I've learned that violence doesn't really work out too well for me.
Even when you win.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I've been in fights and stuff, and even when you win, man, I really hurt my hand. I really got my knee, my back, whatever. And then at the end of the day, hurting another person. You ever read a book called On Killing?
Mm-mm.
So there's a fine writer named David Grossman. He's a retired lieutenant colonel out of the Army. He was an Army Ranger. He wrote a few books, I think, but he's the two that I used to make my soldiers read. I was the second half of the 6 years. I was an infantry squad leader from the last 6 years I was in. So I was in the infantry. So I wanted my guys to be like, I don't want you to think about killing when you've got a guy in your sights.
Mm-hmm.
You should have already thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a book called On Killing and a book called On Combat. And essentially, On Killing is the statement that the average human being, aside from psychopaths, sociopaths, abhors the idea of hurting or killing another human being. It's infinitely harder to stab someone to death, looking them in the eye, than it is to push a button from a bomb to drop, or the further away you get, the easier it gets.
Right.
Anyways, and it's talking about how the military, the United States military specifically, devised training methods to overcome that reluctance to kill another human being. With most notably, they used to shoot at just a target with a circle and the bullseye. But then when you put your gun up on a person, it doesn't look like a target. So they started doing person-sized targets. And then they started doing pop-up targets that were in the shape of a man's silhouette. Mm-hmm. Then they started doing them that pops up. You shoot it, it goes down. You go to the next one, shoot it, it goes down. You're just being conditioned to go bad guy or target, neutralized, next target, neutralized. Okay, where are my next targets? Mm-hmm. Next one pops up. So there's all these drills that train you as a soldier or as a military service member to get over that inherent reluctance to kill another human being. Anyways, very interesting stuff. But to hurt another human being, I don't know. I don't think that it's ever, aside from like a dog with rabies situation, you know what I mean? Like if someone's a deadly threat to another person, that's the only time I think that that's really warranted. Sure. Is hurting another person. And even then it's like that feeling of your beloved pet ever got rabies and you had to shoot it. It's like, well, you are not that pet anymore. You're not that beloved friend. You are now something's happened, and if I don't take action, you're going to hurt other people, maybe irreparably. Yeah. So then that's another Grossman quote. He said there's three types of people in the world. There's the sheep, which is 99% of the population, the wolves that prey on the sheep, and then the sheepdog that try to keep the wolves away and keep the sheep safe. So you need those sheepdogs to come in there and take action when the bad person is having their worst day, and but other than that, I don't think hurting anybody is ever okay.
But see, and I see that as a whole organism, right? So even the sheeps, the wolves, the sheepdog, all part of the same organism, right? Like much inside your body, when cancer happens, other parts of your system try to go at it and solve the issue, right? And it becomes something that outside of your body has to partake in to try and address, right? So there's all these whimsical things that happen to us that we really are so far from understanding that,
or being in control of,
that it's silly to even try and imagine we know anything about this stuff. I think our priorities as a species have to change. The reform is not just for the schools or government. It is about each individual and how we think about this damn experience, living, and I think humanity. So here's how I digest news, because I'm kind of like yourself. Sometimes it's too much. It's too much for me. It's too stimulating. It's too derogatory. There's too many stimulating facts of it that don't allow me to really hone in on a logical, rational thought. I just get lost in space. And the way I look at it now is, if I'm going to see something in the news, I have to look at it with the intention that news will inadvertently make me remember that we're all dealing with this, that someone in my community, from that shooting that happened in Sacramento recently.
Which one?
I know, right? They're happening all the time, which we can get into that in just a moment. But those families are still dealing with it today.
Oh, forever.
Those fathers, those mothers, those
Horses
brothers,
are altered forever.
sisters. Yes. And
on all sides.
And these are people we're in traffic with. These are people we're in line with at the bank, at the restaurant, where we are dealing with this as a community, even if you're removed from it to some degree, right? So when I see news, that's how I digest it, is like, I want to be ready to be welcoming and compassionate to anyone who's coping with these tragedies, because that's all really news is for. News isn't about creating a biased opinion, although I know that's how we see it sometimes.
Ratings and things, titillating.
Yeah, and
you know what's
those are two entities trying to work together, right? The entertainment aspect of it and the information aspect of it, right? It's not my job, or it's not their job to tell me how to think. It's their job to present a story. How I think is up to me. And the way I look at it is, I could be disturbed. Maybe sometimes that happens inadvertently. I'm down the road and I'm thinking about this thing that's distracting me. That does happen, right? But ultimately, I make the decision before I see it, that if I see a piece of Ukrainian news that is tragic and depressing, I'm going to now view my community from that heartfelt moment to say, I'm going to watch myself closely today, because I don't want to step on the toes of someone who's lost a loved one in Ukraine. I don't want to cut somebody off in traffic because they just found out that their wife or their child in Ukraine is either in danger or has been killed. And if you allow yourself
more graceful,
if you allow yourself to slip because you quickly pass judgment and say that's stupid, and then you go out in traffic and you cut people off because you're mad. Like, come on, man! Like, the math is there.
Yeah,
math is there. You know.
Yeah, well, you're being a hypocrite too. I mean,
absolutely. So I think that the way that I handle the news is not to cut myself off from it, because I still want the opportunity to get in front of somebody who consumes information in such a way that they don't realize it's affecting them, and share my experience so that they can take another perspective and say, I didn't think about that. Well, and then they drive home safer.
Yeah. One of the best discussions I've ever had was with this super, super liberal guy that was dating a friend, anyways, came into my orbit and we hit it off, and we disagreed on about 95% of everything, but very much respectful back and forth. We ended up, he was an assistant professor at Berkeley. So I live in the Bay Area. I met him at his apartment in Berkeley. We were going to go watch a basketball game, Oregon Ducks, Cal. We had tickets. We had such a great conversation. We just missed the entire game, having some drinks, talking. And he said, and this is a guy that's got multiple degrees and stuff like that. But we had a great talk, I mean, he said the people that he comes in contact with every day all swimming in the same channel. They all kind of believe about the same on about almost all the same stuff. And I'm completely upstream.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I don't hang out with people that espouse to his beliefs. Yeah. So it was so incredibly enlightening to have this conversation where I would say something and he would literally go like, oh my gosh, wow. Because, just hadn't even considered that. And then same thing with his. And I'm not going to say that I changed anything or he changed anything, but it was, and I don't remember specifically what we talked about, just the fact that two so opposite viewpoints could have such a great conversation. They missed the game and all this stuff, disagreeing.
Yeah.
Disagreeing the whole time.
Yeah.
But having such a great, and then give each other a hug afterwards like, hey, man, looking forward to the next time.
Yeah.
And then that's probably 10 years ago.
This is where being an artist plays in your favor.
Yeah, but it was just so cool, like, just to have that dialogue where, I want to understand, like, when I get in arguments with my wife, I said, I'm just trying to understand what your thought process was that got you to where you did that, because I really do want to know.
Yeah.
Because if I know, then I can account for that the next time.
Yeah.
Because I try to do little scenarios, like we all do, like what reasonably could happen if I do this.
And well, God bless our partners for keeping us on our toes, man, because
absolutely.
Man, that is a gift in itself. I'll wrap up this stuff about law enforcement in Ukraine. I was so curious what your perspective was from being from military and law enforcement, and how you consume that information. When you see stuff like that and you have thoughts about China and all the potential disaster that could be in the near future. Like, how do you prepare for that? How do you see that going down? Let's say a missile gets fired at us in America and it lands and chaos breaks out.
Honestly?
Right? Yeah.
I mean, so you've seen the movie Red Dawn?
Yeah.
I mean, not far off.
Yeah.
So I told my wife, I mean, when COVID really got going, we went and, I updated all of our Stay Alive stuff, got some good go bags and some stuff that's you're not going to have enough stuff to keep you alive for a long time, but you have enough stuff to get it up basically up in the hills.
Yeah.
It's far away from the
and
major.
You actively have this preparation.
I don't have an idea of where we're going to go.
Yeah.
But just east.
Yeah.
Or north and west.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Somewhere in the trees.
Either somewhere in the trees on the coast, but the coast limits you because you got 50% of your options are limited, and I don't have a boat. But I mean, probably the foothills because you got a lot of. Anyways, it's a long. I'm not gonna have something go down where,
you just sit at home.
I'm just sitting there waiting for whatever. I'd rather just go out and
deal with it.
Yeah, just go start living off the grid.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back in a year or send a smoke signal.
I'll make sure to get your number so we can, because
I'm out with us if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that partner or that number of partners that I trust. Yeah.
Okay, well I'll throw you a rifle.
Yeah.
But you need to get. You're going to sector.
Bro, we got at least a good couple weeks before before I get injured.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But that's another reason why fitness is important. It's like, look, you can imagine all the worst things happening. If you ain't fit, you ain't trying to become or stay some kind of reasonable fit. Then,
at least be able to move yourself. On your own feet.
Yeah, man. And
it's not about pull-ups or bench presses. It's about
cardio.
The best.
It's about.
Someone asked me the other day about a scenario. What would you do? Well, I said, what would I do? Run away.
Yeah.
That's my answer to a lot of things.
That's fucking smart.
Because seriously, like, what do you have to gain by going in and doing something like, oh, the scenario was this. So my wife goes to mass. I'm not going to say where. On Sunday, Easter. And I don't subscribe to any religion. And I just stayed at home. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
And so she says in the middle of mass, this guy walks in. And everybody's sitting. And he walks up right to the front, like almost right in front of the priest or minister or whatever, and he's wearing a backpack and he starts like yelling about this and that, and it's just really weird, and some people just get up and leave. And my wife and her mom just
creepy.
I guess they stayed there, and some people were watching, and some people were like, eventually ushers came and stuff like that. But they asked what I would do. I said I would have just got up and left. Immediately. Maybe ran. Because probably ran because the last thing you want to do is this guy, if he gets pushed out, now you're outside with him, but just get out of there. And then if you find out it was nothing, cool. But if you found out 10 people got killed, you feel pretty good. And you don't feel good. You mean you're going to have survivor's guilt and stuff like that, but you're going to be alive.
Yeah.
So your feet, my point is to be fit.
Yeah.
I can't work out. I used to be able to bench press 300 pounds. Probably, I don't know what I could bench now. 50.
Yeah, but I mean practical
Move
fit.
yourself
Look, so
in
like
space. Move yourself in space.
So and it's great for me to sort of clarify this as well. It's like, I don't mean fitness in like bodybuilding. Fitness as in strong glutes, because that's what you use to get the hell up. And strong core, because that's what you use to sustain any length of stressful movement.
Yeah.
You got to keep that shit tight. And your nutrition, obviously, right? But the fitness I'm talking about is like a strong core and strong ass, because those are really all you really need to keep strong in order to to sustain a long and healthy life, right? Because this came from the whole education behind being a truck driver or sedentary positions in your job or career, right? Anytime you're sitting for any length of time, the muscles in your glutes get weak. The knees take the brunt of that. The lower back takes the brunt of that shit. If your shit is weak, you'll know why. But the whole thing about doomsday prepping and just that perspectives, I think a lot of us think about that. Like, man, what if China does? What if Russia? Whatever, right? And
well, it could easily like dominoes go, and then it just goes. You did this, well, we'll do this, and we'll do this, and it just escalates, and it's outside of the.
What do you think stops them from doing it now?
Well, I mean, in order to, if you're gonna try to defeat somebody, you have to occupy it. And anybody that want to come into America and try to occupy America with all the guns we have in this country,
right.
You better pack a lunch.
Yeah.
You talk about unifying people like 9/11 or
See, that's
COVID.
what I'm saying.
You're gonna have people that don't like each other doing some real Wolverine stuff, there's no one that can come occupy this country.
And you know how you said there needs to be more dialogue, right? That sort of directly relates to the stumped education that we all have, like this stagnant mind that people seem to be okay with, just social media and sort of in the moment of technology, right? I think that humanity has to remind itself of its vulnerability, of its need to grow. And I think that's what war is about. I think we all were just coping with COVID, coping with life.
Everything.
Right?
Your own losses. It seems like everything's kind of just been stacking up on us the last couple of years.
And in order for humanity as an organism to like jolt itself, war starts. And of course it is tragic. And like you can philosophize about that in many different ways. But the way I see it is it's here to remind us, the little independent parts of this organism, these little singular things, these little blood cells that we are, to think about your life. Think about what it is you know, what it is you don't know, and what are you going to do to protect it, to make it better, so on and so forth, right? That's what bad news is for, or news is for, information is for. The internet is there to educate you. It's not there to create bias. It's not there to turn you against any given group of human beings, because that's just stupid. It makes you think like, war now? How fucking stupid is that? Why are we even doing that? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So in order to make sense of it, you kind of have to like try and make it like a part of reality, like a normal happenstance. It's like, we always go to war. What do you think we would do if we were still tribes? That's what all tribes did. They picked fights with each other so they'd have a purpose. People need a fucking purpose. That's all war and violence really do. It's there to remind you, pick a purpose and fucking bust your ass at it. That's all it is. Everybody needs, we're such a unevolved species as is. I know that we're
very short-sighted as a species.
And it's, the whole purpose of living is to not know, but to keep exploring, is to grow and to like, that's why I love Elon Musk, is because he pushes the boundaries every which way he does. Socially, technically.
Oh, he always feels like he's so far ahead of like his steps.
He's used his information correctly, I think. Yeah. I think he really pushes the boundaries of normal modern day thought and
I think he maximizes he knows that when he says something, it can really have real immediate effects, and he uses that.
He's like what Donald Trump wishes he could be.
You have another interesting person. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Say what you will about either one. They both bring a lot to the table, and then there's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of,
Agreed.
positives.
Yeah,
they're very interesting. They've lived interesting lives.
Yeah. Food for thought, man. Yeah. Like we are just as equal as they are. Like we're no less than or no greater than Elon or Donald Trump. Like that's the thing, is like when someone has a harsh opinion about any other person, celebrity or otherwise, it's like, how
well do you really know him?
Yeah,
anyways?
well, what for? What are you doing? Yeah. What are you trying to force feed me this for? Like, what you don't understand is you don't know yourself as well as you think you do. Otherwise, you'd be busy working on that and not trying to label this motherfucker. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
or you like this other person because they remind you of yourself.
Or what
and
you
want to be. And that's why you like them. So you got an ego issue. Like, what? You can't tell. Yeah, I mean, someone that's going to give an opinion on someone they know nothing about, it's like, them based on a series of characters you've seen them play. They're professional liars. They play other people on TV, and you like them based on what?
Yeah. Oh, you did research. You watched what?
Although
videos?
You can see kind of a common thread. You see enough De Niro movies, you can see there's a similarity in all those characters, and that's the real. You know what I mean? You can kind of see some threads of their realness.
I don't want to piss off the real Robert De Niro because I'm afraid he might be.
I wouldn't mind taking a hit swing at that guy, actually.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Some of those guys, they like talk all this stuff.
Yeah,
like,
Ray Liotta, right?
No, just people that are like, I'll go beat Trump's ass, or I'll go beat Obama's ass. Somebody that talks shit, it's like, well, someone should go punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to go punch the president in the face.
I'm going to get Will Smith over at your house. Yeah. You better watch it.
I don't want to punch anybody in the face anymore. I'd rather give someone a hug,
Let's see. All right. Okay, so this was like the more, how you said you didn't want to talk about certain things, and I'm absolutely good with that. Like I don't think that would be productive.
Like how my good looks has just been the
I can see that for myself.
I'm just tired. Everybody's heard too much about that.
We don't need to talk about that. Yeah, it's great. Good for you. So going, like, you were in SVU, Special Victims Unit, right? And you did briefly mention to me that you worked with children's cases in
Yeah. So the SVU unit I was in, we handled all the child abuse, physical, sexual, rapes, elder abuse, domestic violence stuff.
How did that not make you bitter? How does
Who said it
that
didn't?
work? Well, then how do you cope with that?
Yeah.
Like
No,
that's
I mean,
that's
not,
the real
not bitter, just to see all that stuff.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you exist in humanity with all the chaos that is just not going anywhere, and knowing what you know about people and how they can be? How do you walk around and be okay? And I'm grateful that you are.
Yeah.
But I want part of that secret.
I got some duct tape holding it all together.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, fair enough.
Every day
man.
I checked it and put some more tape on it.
Yeah, but you know,
You do what
like
you can. No, so initially, I got hurt I was on patrol. Somebody stabbed his girlfriend to death in front of her kid and her parents, and then he finds his way into our area, and we find him, and then we're setting up around the house for the SWAT team and stuff. Anyways, I got hurt, and I missed. I was supposed to be the next pick for the homicide. Had a spot opened up. Somebody promoted, and there was an empty spot. Found out that I wrote this report. Not to segue too far, but there was a child custody exchange, and it ended up devolved into a guy holding the girl by the hair driving down a main street where I worked. Found him. He's in custody. It's a very convoluted case. What's going on? Took me a long time to write it with all these different things that had to go in there. So by the time I wrote it, like I don't know if you operate on sleep deprivation, but sometimes you get a little nutty, so I had, anyways, found out that the sergeant from the homicide unit wanted me in his unit, which was really cool. Then I got hurt. They had to pick somebody. They couldn't wait for me. I missed my window. And you can't ever tell when another spot's going to open up. So I cried when I found out that I lost, the homicide guy's like, hey, when are you coming back? I said, I don't know. I'm still screwed up.
Yeah.
So I cried because I thought that's what I really wanted. So then I come back, go to patrol, and then they get me to investigations, but I go to property crimes, burglaries, car thefts, things like that. It's good to learn investigations, but whatever. It wasn't really my thing. They offered me a spot, comes up in SVU. I had a friend that had been in SVU for a while, very respected detective and close friend. And I thought to myself, he told me his cases and stuff, and I said, I don't want to go deal with kids and rapes and things like that. That's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But I did it. And because I thought at the very least it would make me a better detective. It's more because I wanted to promote and things. And I feel like the more well-rounded I am as a whatever, I can be that much better of a supervisor at that when I know more things. Anyways,
Right.
So I went to SVU, and it was a way better fit. I realized that homicide would not have been my gig. Most of the homicides, it seemed to me, were like, this guy got killed because last week he robbed this guy and he found him. Mm-hmm. And there are some innocent people, things like that get killed for sure. And I mean, nobody deserves to die, even in retribution. But it was, I'm getting justice for this little kid that I care way more about than this gangster that had been in and out, hurting cops and hurting people and things, and he's dead now. Yeah, he deserved to live, but he lived that lifestyle. This kid didn't deserve this.
Sure.
So anyways, I went and did that. And people ask me, you're sitting in there, you're interviewing, interrogating these rapists or these child molesters. How do you not just want to pull your gun out and blow their brains out? And I said, some of them are so bad, I could see that being what most people would think. But I say the way I kill them is by just doing the best job I can and being as thorough and making the case really solid. And then they go away for 240 years. Yeah. And they're going to bury them under the jail. Yeah. And they're not going to have a chance to access a kid anymore. And then that's what makes it. It doesn't take away that what happened to the kid. That just can't be done. Right. But so I connect really well with kids. I was abused growing up. So it suited me well as a detective to have that background to connect with them. And it's not, because I think survivors of that kind of stuff can kind of smell when someone's saying, oh, I've been through that too. And they're like, no, you haven't. Right. So they could tell that I was legit, but to be a good sex crimes detective and not keep everybody at arm's length, which is healthy for you, you got to let them in. Mm-hmm. And then when you let them in, to try to comfort them and to try to let them know that you're there and that you're going to do a good job to kind of get this person off the street so they can't hurt them anymore or whatever. the closer you let them in and the more cases that you let affect you, it's like a grain of sand. You never heard that? Every day,
Sure.
you take a grain of sand, you put it on your back, and then at some point you're like, how did I get these 50-pound bags of sand on my back?
Yeah.
So what the attributes that make you a good SVU detective also can make you burn out at it.
Yeah.
How much can you take?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I did that for, I think, 3 years before I got hurt.
Yeah.
And just, you know, it never gets easy to go see the kid talk about things that something that's happened to him and the details of it.
Yeah.
And you got to get details. It's not comfortable, but
do you think it helped not having kids yourself to be in that position?
It probably couldn't have hurt. Yeah. I mean, having the kids definitely, especially I went to autopsy of 6-month-old baby. It looked like a little doll, you know? But somebody that was with me had a kid not much older than that, and it really affected them differently. So I imagine it would have affected me much differently.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. I'm just curious if that's something that they look for purposefully is, people who don't have children, because that
might be a positive, but it's not I think they just look for someone that's, I helped get some investigation spots open up, and then you kind of go, all right, who do we like?
Right.
The whole team kind of throws names in, and you kind of whittle it down. First off, are they interested?
Yeah.
But it's all the common core things are mature. You know, being a cop is cool. Yeah. It's really cool. I mean, you put a badge on and a gun on, you go out there, you're like a superhero. Someone calls you help.
Yeah.
How can I help?
Yeah.
There's a bad guy. What did he do? He did this. Cool. Let's go catch him. You
miss it?
I miss the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a patrolman, and if there's 100 homicides, 90 of them are in my beat. It's like a violent beat. That's like most of the violent crime where I was at. But I like being a cop there. So there was one lady in particular. I went to several calls. She's alcoholic, and she almost killed her son once. I think I almost shot her a couple times, like deadly force. So she's using deadly force, and luckily nothing happened. She was okay. Nobody was hurt. She went to jail, but she was drunk. So she was really not a good drunk. But every time I'd see her, I would always give her like some positive reinforcement, because she had a lot of good qualities. She's just a drunk, and she just acted bad when she was drunk. So one time in particular, there's a liquor store I used to always go to get my chew and to take a pee. I could get in and get out real quick. She comes up to me, and she's sober, and she goes, Schedule. It's my last name. She goes, Deputy Schedule. She goes, come outside and look at my new car. And I went out there, and she's got this new to her Cadillac, not all spiffed up, got the white walls and stuff. And she's like, I've been sober for this amount of time. My son and I are getting along. I got this new car. I'm doing so good. I just wanted to show you, and I want to give you a hug and tell you thank you. And she gave me a big hug. Yeah. She goes, you've been so nice to me, and, all this stuff. And it was just kind of a cool thing. Like, I would never imagine in a million years.
Sure.
Yeah. But I always did try to treat everybody fair. Like, hey, firm but fair.
Yeah.
The standard is the law. The law is the standard. It's just, it is what it is. And sometimes I don't have discretion. Sometimes I do. I was more of a fan of, educating someone like, you're going this fast. There's a school zone. There's kids. There's a reason for all that. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Break it down for them. Give them a warning. Because I don't want to give someone some ticket that's going to be like, put them in a financial hardship, something like that. Right. That could be the thing that puts them over the edge.
Right, exactly.
So my whole thing is, I miss the parts about law enforcement where I could help. I don't miss the parts where I had to go do things, take someone away from their family. Yeah. Based on the decisions of someone else.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't like,
Yeah, that must have been
a lot of stuff. The blood and guts of it and stuff. I don't miss that. I got images I still see.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Wow. I can't imagine. I
did it for 14 years.
I think that your professionalism, your sense of adventure in a disciplined environment, your need for that as a child, I think you rode the coattails of that from the military onward, and it gave you what you instinctively knew would give you some stability. And I think,
I thrived in that environment in the military, so I just kind of
listening to you, it just made all the sense in the world to attain those qualities and live by those qualities, and I admire that. I think that your spirit, is something that is a gift on its own. I think that kid growing up who put up with some crazy stuff, there was some magic already there.
For sure. Yeah.
That wasn't going to get put out. it just wasn't going to happen. And you found a way, and I commend you, man. I
Thank
commend you for being in my community for sure.
Yeah.
I'm grateful, you know?
Well, there's a lot of people out there that have like those rough backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
And just believe, I would just say believe in yourself. You just keep going and stay the course. And like you've talked about, just always be trying to study your processes on things. And if you're doing something and getting bad results, there's a lot you can do to change your process and get better results. But I thought about the other day and I thought, I'm bitching about stuff in my past, which I'm trying not to do because it's in the past. There's nothing you can do about it. But I thought about it like this. You got the samurai sword, right? Beautiful samurai sword. Does it bitch about all those hammer strikes? It's just awesome.
Right.
It might have bitched about it during, I come up with this the other day. I thought, man, that's a good analogy. Like during the process of building that samurai sword, I bet you it hated it.
Thank you.
But now when it's just on the shelf or it's doing its thing and it's being used properly for its intended purpose, it's like, it is the shit.
Yeah. Now
So
everybody's
don't look at the
jaw
hammer
drops
strikes.
when they see it. Yeah. No, that is the perfect analogy. I think we can end on, because I think we could probably go on for more and more and more hours.
I dig talking with you, man, for real.
Yeah, and we can. I would love to arrange this to happen again. But I think we'll end it on that. I think that's beautiful. That working on yourself is a ancient discipline that goes beyond our most simplest understanding of any culture. And I think that is really the key to the future. Is no matter the news you hear and no matter what's going on in your life, you can always afford to turn that eye inward just a little more and learn as much as you can. You don't need some public school or university to do it. The information's there for all of us. And
there's a great book called The Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay.
It's like I can't control what happens to me, but I can control how I respond to it.
Yep.
Kind of like that. I mean,
that's the message I'm getting here. So, Matt, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate
Really nice.
it. I'm going to play the outro music. I didn't play the intro, but I can add that in editing, but I want you to hear it. Oh, wait, that's not it. Hold on. You fucking machine. Here we go. There it is.